Welcome back, Smile Mentor community. Matt Griffin here, your Smile Mentor. Today we are going to be meeting with Jen, who is, God, you're probably tired of hearing me say this, but legitimately patient turned friend. She was actually one of our very first testimonies we did about her getting the All-On-X, and she is legitimately, what I loved about her is she didn't fit what the normal demographic anticipation would be for the non-patient out there. That probably doesn't make sense, but what most people think of who an All-On-X or All-On-4 recipient would be, retired, older, that kind of type of stuff. Well, A, I'm not there, and B, Jen was one of those patients. She is a lot of fun. She gets out and does a lot. She talks about even some of the tragedy that she's had with her sister, who has had some issues with a place that couldn't, that tried to piecemeal it together. So, you know, in this documentary, guys, we've always, in this community, we never wanted to make it a sales pitch. I mean, she shares the good, the bad, and the ugly. So enjoy the video of Jen. I think you'll grow to love her just like we did. And for those of you loyal Smile Mentor family members that have followed us and encouraged us, thank you for that. And if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. And anybody out there that doesn't know the Smile Mentor, look in the description below. Should answer all your questions. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day. Well, Jen, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me again. It's been over 3 years now since we first met. And ironically, we were meeting about you getting your new set of teeth, your new All-On-X, if you will, All-On-4, All-On-6, and now it's my turn.
You are.
That's right.
I know.
That's right. And you know, I was actually talking, you know, I'm 43. And, you know, I've had dental challenges just growing up, and we've talked to them, and my love of dentists, a lot of sarcasm in that comment, has really perpetuated a lot of my life. I mean, you know, before I got married, I had my whole top row done, and they just ground them down to nothing. That when they failed, now all of a sudden there's nothing to anchor them to. So I'm in the position, okay, make it happen. But you know, before all this, when I was thinking about it with my mom, and I started this process, and we even talked about it today, how you were one of our first in the dental space, one of our first people that we got to sit down and hear their experience and their story. And I remember clearly driving away with Dan, and we were just remembering about it, and I thought, man, she's so cool. And like, you know, I mean, it really changed the persona, because I think some people think of this as just dentures that won't fall out and that it's only for old people. But like, you guys give us a run for our money. I mean, you and Mike, and just talking and how much fun you guys are and have. And we talked about how this it redefined it. And it was cool that I got to see from the very beginning that, and it reminded me, and which gives me comfort now. Like, it takes away any of the shame. And so, you know, you sitting down and talking with me before I go through it next week is a blessing, even though I've been through, I've sat through surgeries and filmed them. And I mean, I know a lot of what's coming, but yet still, once it's your turn, you've got a lot of thoughts and feelings and emotions. And so the fact
Scared?
Yeah.
Scared? Is it going to hurt? Mm-hmm. Right? How long is it going to hurt and stuff? And, you know, you're going to do fantastic. You know, you're going to get it done, and you're going to realize that there's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you don't have to think of that in advance. When you're going somewhere to eat something, and you don't have to think, well, you know, I hope they're going to have something that's going to be easy on my teeth, or that I can. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things for me is not having to do that. But, you know, we were talking about, you know, what can you expect? You know, you saw me right after the surgery, and my swelling. I mean, it was fantastic. So I don't think you're going to have any problems like that. My biggest thing was all of your follow-up appointments. and it's very important. It delayed my permanent ones from being placed due to my schedule. You know, I wasn't able to make it in every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Sometimes it was 8 weeks before I would be back. So just make sure that you're prepared.
How long did it take you?
I would say close to a year.
Okay.
Close to a year for everything, making sure that the implants, took. So that's another fear that you have. Whenever you're going in and on your monthly checkup and you're like, oh, you said something about shame. Absolutely. They take your teeth out. You don't have any, because when you leave there that day after surgery, they're screwed in. Okay, so now they're going to make sure that everything's going to take, and before they put the final screws in, and then they fill in you'll have some small holes, and they'll fill those in. So up until then, you're going to be going there. They're going to be taking your teeth out. You just feel horrible, and you just want them back in just real quick. Just get them. Let's not talk. Don't be looking for something else,
right.
man. And don't ask me a question right now. Right? I can't talk. I don't have any teeth in. So that was what the big thing was. So make sure that you can find out from your dentist weekend appointments. What's the availability on that? Because that's, for me, that's the time that I can come in. So that was a big deal with my scheduling and stuff. So other than that, there wasn't anything else that you're going to be cleaning your teeth properly. You're going to make sure that you're flossing, right? Even more important now, because you don't want anything to get up behind.
So the water pick, is that what you mean by
the water pick and floss?
Okay.
Because you're only going to be able to get your floss in to your first implant, right?
Right.
So you're just going to be doing from side to side, okay? On each one, that's going to stop right there.
Okay.
And then you'll just go on and you'll use the water pick.
So you actually, do you have to do in between them, like with one of those threaders or anything like that? Just the back?
Yeah, it's just the back.
Clean out the back.
Because you're all one piece.
Right.
This is how, you can't get in between any of these. Right? So you can't floss this way.
Okay.
So what you're trying to do is make sure that there's nothing that gets in between the gum and your plate. Okay. So again, you're all raw, right? When they first do it, you're all raw. You don't want to shove a piece in there. So definitely, check on that. When should I start doing it? Should I only use the pick? Pick has a lot of strength. It hurt the first time I used it.
Really?
Yes, it has a lot of strength to it. So, be prepared. Have it. Mine goes up to, it's the same one that they use when they're cleaning it. I think it goes up to a 10 or something like that.
Okay.
And I probably did 7, right?
Yeah.
I wanted good, right? I was like, I'd probably go straight to 10, but let me try 7. I stopped. And I lowered it down.
Okay.
And I lowered it down. So make sure for that. Because your gums are very sensitive, right? And especially after you've had all the surgery.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're going to have the surgery and stuff. So you want to make sure that that they stay clean, they don't get infected. You've got to do your part. They're going to tell you what to eat and what not to eat.
Yeah.
You feel better. You and I talked about, where the bridge had broke, right? And so for so long, I couldn't eat on that side.
Right.
So now that I had, nothing was coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, give me something big. And and you got, just baby steps, because you could definitely mess them up.
Yeah.
Right. And again, you want to make sure they're anchored down and they're anchored perfectly. Yeah. You don't want them getting in and getting crooked. So just make sure you do what your doctor tells you, and you'll follow that, and you'll be great. I mean, you can eat soft food. Right. You can eat. As a matter of fact, I want to see you eat some soft food. Something that you'll enjoy, something that's gonna fill you up and make you feel good.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, you went to a funeral the very next day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My surgery was a good part of the day. Again, I flew in, and my husband picked me up, and they had wanted me to take a type of sedative, which gladly.
Amen.
But I was flying in, so unless my husband was going to walk on and carry me off the plane, I couldn't do that. So I was scared half to death. So Mike gets me there to the appointment, and I'm like, hey, y'all know I haven't taken it yet. And they're like, no, you're fine. 'Cause they said to take it about an hour before. And, well, am I going to feel anything? They go, this isn't the pain reliever. This is just to relax you, which you need. So that was a big one. So I flew in. It was 8 hours. when I woke up, like I said, I had the funeral the next day. My very best friend's husband, and it just wasn't an option not to be there for her. And so I came home, and blessed to have a wonderful husband. He had put ice packs all on my face while I was sleeping. So when I woke up, and a bag of mixed vegetables, that's the best ice pack you can have, right?
Okay. Right.
And so that's, we had some peas and the carrots and all that in it, right? And it's small pieces. So he had that, and he would just keep it on my face. And when I woke up the next morning to head to San Antonio for the funeral, there was no swelling. There wasn't anything. Mike, and he'll take the pat on his back, absolutely. He's not worried about doing that. But Mike said that he believes it's because the teeth were attached immediately, right? It's sprain your ankle. What are we going to do? We're going to wrap a knee bandage around it. We're going to compress it, right? Help with the swelling. Same thing with your gums, right? They just come with a lot of trauma, right? And a lot of stuff going on. So when they are placing those in immediately, right, they're screwing them in. You can't get them out. Mike would joke and say, "You need me to go get a tool?" Not funny.
Too soon.
Too soon to do that. Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that you want to think of as well.
For the swelling. And
yeah,
that kind
for
of
the
type of
swelling.
stuff.
So your ibuprofen, and like I said, man, have some ice packs on. I think that definitely helped. Never had to take anything more than ibuprofen. Really? I do have a high tolerance for pain.
You'd have to, yeah.
But I don't, when I'm hurting, I get help. Yeah. Right? Like I'm not one who goes, I'll just wait and I'll just wait. Yeah. No, so I do have a high tolerance for pain, but if it's that bad, I'm going to take something. So I took ibuprofen, and on the way down, I needed to eat something. We stopped, and I had some brisket. It was soft enough. Now, that was another thing. I couldn't eat on my right side for so long that everything was chewed on the left side.
Right.
So even after my teeth, everything was on the left side. Right? And I was like,
habit.
Yeah, because it's a habit. And I'm like, wait, this side wants to taste it too. So that, you know what? And that is something that, it's funny that you say, because now as I think about it, I really think whenever I'm eating, and of course I go right to the left side because it was years that I put up with this and I shouldn't have. Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't want false teeth.
Right.
I'm too young.
Right.
Why false teeth? And it's not. It is your way of life, and you do not know how many compliments that I get on my teeth daily. And at first it'd be like, oh, they can tell they're fake. Oh my goodness, because I smiled before all the time, and I definitely still do. So that's your first thing, like they can't, and then nobody can. When I tell people what I did,
they're shocked.
Do I sound like I have dentures that are slipping that I can't? No, nothing. So it's amazing to deal. We talked about it, to deal with the pain that you've had for so long. This is your best choice to live a regular, normal, everyday life.
When I was going through, and even when we talked about, I don't want this to be a commercial for anybody, and I also don't want this to just be me focused, although I want to invite people along for the journey, because then it gives, just like you're doing for me right now, on giving me some excitement and hope. And whenever any of those nerves come in or any of that comes in, that I've got my own little weird support system, right? Friends that have been through
that have done it.
And so, that's part of what I'm wanting to share with patients, but like I've said, we're not being paid for this by anybody. Like, nobody's sponsoring this, and I've actually refused it because I wanted the purity of it. I wanted to have this to where if I never get a job, I might not get a job in the dental world again, because I really want to teach patients from the perspective of somebody who's pretty anti-dentist, that's willing to, now I found a good one. There are good ones out there.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be like throw the baby out with the bathwater type deal, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of challenging ones. And so we're actually headed to Austin on Monday to interview Santa Claus. I'll have to send it to you. Some work we did for a client down there. Not the dentist you and I both go to, because now we share a dentist.
Yeah.
But It was a dentist down there we did some work for, and unfortunately he had some snap-ons put in, just two on the bottom for him and two on the top. The bottoms are holding, top's not. That dentist is not honoring his work. So I mean, it's just the same thing, right? We've been through it, and you're like, why is this the only profession where there's like no warranty? There's nothing. It doesn't seem like. And so you were mentioning your sister-in-law, and this is going to be something I do want to bring in. I don't want to, this isn't going to be a commercial where it's like, oh, it goes great for everybody, because it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. And so tell me a little bit about your sister-in-law, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. She and she's battling it right now, and she wanted to get done what I did, and she had found a dentist, and she had no choice but to get her teeth done. And whenever she met with them, they were talking about the snap-on ones. She was excited they could get her in. They could get her in, by the end of the week, and she was going to start the process. So she did. I tried to get her to wait and talk to our dentist, but she had spoken with them, and she felt comfortable and confident. She went in. Her surgery lasted several hours, as mine did. When I went in the back to pick her up, she had a mask on. This is before the quarantine right now, right? So I could go there with her. So she had a mask on and just kind of mumbling, couldn't say anything. And I was telling them, I said, hey, like what are we doing here? Like, what's the process? It sounds like, and they said, well, there's going to be quite a bit of bleeding and so forth, but she just needs to leave the dentures in. So it was not explained to her that she could, that she wouldn't have them permanently attached from the get-go. Remember, I told you that's why Mike is saying he thinks that my swelling and everything. So here, number one, she's never had these foreign objects in her mouth. Okay, so she comes out. I get her back to her apartment, and it's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. We can't get her teeth in. Remember, they just removed every tooth, top and bottom. Okay, so she's raw, right? And cutting stitches everywhere. They want her to put these dentures in, but there's so much blood we can't get the dentures in, so she can clamp down and we can kind of apply the pressure.
Right.
So it was scary. I felt so sorry for her. I just kept telling her, it's gonna be all right. She goes, yours wasn't like this. I'm like, no, but it's okay. We're gonna get this. Just I put her to bed and told her just to clamp down as best she could, and she rested for the night. She went back in the next morning because the bleeding had not stopped. Man, she has had so many appointments with them. She'll show up for her appointment and they'll go, oh, well, we called and we left a voicemail that we were going to have to cancel today. And she's like, she's taken off work. Remember I told you your follow-up appointments.
They called her and told her.
Yeah, and there's no missed call. There's no message that's on it. There's no nothing. There's no nothing. So this is definitely, I was having to call her dentist because she couldn't talk. Right? I was like, hey, text me what you want me to say, what's going on with you, and I'll call the doctor and tell him what we need to do. So we did that, and she was just with me yesterday. Still does not have...
How long ago this happened?
She had surgery. It was warm outside before the winter time.
Before the winter?
Yeah, because
we're in July now.
Yeah, no, we're in July. Yeah, but we've been in quarantine since March.
Right.
And it was before then. So it was last year. It was definitely last year that she'd gotten it done.
So she's over 7 months in at least.
Yep. She kept saying something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. Even with the temporary plate that she has to put in, right? Nothing screwed in. They haven't given her those yet. The snap-in. Right. So she just has the denture, and she said it doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. They go, nope, it's fine. Oh, this is normal. That there's some swelling. They just don't tell you. And then she went. Due to the quarantine, her dentist wasn't coming in. She's like, hey, y'all are supposed to be setting me up. I should be good to go. Now, remember, she thought from the word go that when she left that surgery room, her teeth were in. Mm-hmm. And they weren't. And they're still not permanent. And they're still not. And now they have, they're saying that there is, well, she went back. She said, well, let me see another dentist in the same building, right? It's a big office building. So saw another dentist, and he said that, hey, this isn't the way I would have done this. If it needs to be fixed, then you need to go to the other dentist. And she said, the other dentist isn't coming in. Like, what do you mean? What did she do wrong? And he said, well, it's just not a way that I would do it. Okay, so still not giving her any answers. Oh, right. You got it. Oh, they're going to protect each other.
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
Gonna stick together.
We're friends.
Right.
That's what we're going to do. Right. So, so she said, what do I have to do to get rid of this one? Because we don't know when she's going to come back in the office, right? And get with the new dentist there. She did that, and now they've had to order specialty parts because one side is lower than the other. What she had been telling them with the dentures, they weren't fitting straight in. They felt cockeyed. So she has no idea. That's what I asked yesterday. I hate to ask her.
Yeah, because it's such a sore and embarrassing and frustrating subject.
Isn't it so frustrating? And you just, you're just going to get me all worked up again, Right. And so I'm like, oh, poor, poor Alyssa. And that was our conversation last night. Where's it at with it and what's going on? And they won't tell her. They just keep saying, well, wait till we get these other parts. But yet, if one's lower, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
So what we can't even now. Are they going to have to redo it? Well, guess what? Process starts all over, baby. Right? You're going to have to heal. You're going to have to do something. I don't know.
Bone grafts.
You got it.
They're going to have to do.
I mean, it's going to be a lot. But again, they're not telling her, anything. They've ordered these parts, and when the parts come in, they'll have her come in. And I told her then, we're not accepting nothing but perfect. Not if you can feel, you shouldn't be able to feel anything. This should feel. Oh, that's another thing. That be prepared. Your temporaries that you're going to put on, because they're going to give you temporaries. Right. That's the one's going to come on and off.
Right.
So the bridge of it, the mouth part of it, right? It goes up at the top, is a lot longer. So when I got it, I didn't, I was like, I'm going to just. It's weird because you can't touch the roof of your mouth with your tongue.
So it extends back.
It extends back.
And so it'll cover the roof of your mouth.
You got it. Pretty much all of it. Pretty much all of it. So weird tasting, right? It's just plastic.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep. No, it's weird tasting. Your breath. I did, you're not going to be chewing gum and stuff because that's all plastic. It would get stuck on. Get the mint breath strips.
Yeah, the Listerine ones.
Yeah, the Listerine ones. Yeah. Yep. So because it just melts right away, and you can taste it. You can taste the plastic and stuff. So it's
really?
I carried those with me everywhere I went for you and me.
Yeah. Right.
Because your mouth is healing. So
got some funk.
You got it. You got it. You're not scrubbing like that you would normally scrub, right? Because your gums are healing. So that's something else too. Your permanent ones are much. Fit more just over the gum part. I can feel all of my roof of my mouth. So I wasn't certain on that whenever that was. And then about my second or third time in there, I was like, are the permanent ones? I didn't realize the roof goes all the way back like that. And our doctor definitely showed me what the permanent. I'm like, okay, great, because that's what I was worried about, because it's a nasty taste.
Yeah. So when Jen is talking about the temporary, it's really a denture. It's what it is. It's a converted denture. That's where they call it the conversion. And so they'll cut out a little bit of the arch that she's talking about. I guess I've seen it so many times, but until you actually plan on you're going to have to go through it, you don't really think about it. But they'll cut out part of the arch on top, but not a lot of it. And so again, be prepared for that. That I think that's a great point she brought up. And when it comes time that for the first 4 to 6 months while you're healing, that's what you're going to wear, because your body is actually adjusting and reforming to those implants, your gum line, all that kind of good stuff. You're osseointegrating the implants. They're becoming part of your bone. And so you don't want the permanence right away. That's actually a bad thing to have. And I actually went on some consultations with my mom, and I mentioned it in other videos where there is a group here that will give you the teeth same day first, and it's not same day you walk out with something, so you're not toothless, but they're the same day, which I really personally would not go for. After having gone through everything I've gone through, I would and seen and learn from all the specialists across the country, it's a bad move. So, but be prepared for that. Do whatever temporary they put in, and relax that it's not your final. You just got about another 4 to 6 months to put up with it, or in Jen's case, a year, because she had to postpone some of the appointments. But okay, so now let's get back to your sister. And I really, you know, here she's been going for over 7 months. Mm-hmm. They haven't, and again, just for those that don't know what a snap-on denture is or snap-in, it's literally where they'll put implants in, and they almost put like a ball joint in it, and then you're supposed to be able to kind of go click, 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 and it avoids any of the fixident, which we talked about today. It avoids any of the paste, but you can take them in and out. It is usually less expensive. That's what gets people, because they're like, okay, well, I mean, it'd kind of be the same, right? You think that. And the sad part is, do you know what she paid for them?
$12,000.
$12,900,
I believe.
$12,900. Was that upper, or was that upper and lower?
Upper and lower.
Upper and lower, $12,900. And so, you know, you're talking a difference between $12,900 versus $40,000. And I know that that's a big difference, and I know, and I don't want to judge anybody for going that route. And if you need to, it is, if you go with the right doctor, which sounds like, I'm sorry your sister-in-law didn't, but if you go with the right doctor, it can be a good solution. I don't want to throw that out or make anybody out there who went with this feel bad for doing it, because it's a good, cost-effective solution. You get a pretty far down the road that you would with the fixed, but the fixed is just different. I mean, it you know, now
there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
With the fixed, there's no boundaries, and like you said, I mean, to cut the cost, because it's very expensive. Okay, but this is yours for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to say. Am I going to invest this kind of money?
Yeah.
And if you're taking everything else in consideration, all the times you're going to the dentist and you're having problems, and they're working on it, and crowns and caps, and I mean, it all adds up. Yeah. So, you know, if you can, I would definitely, you know, I'm glad that you're doing the same thing that I did. Yeah. You know, and talking about the permanent, you're absolutely right. Even when your permanents come in, they're going to tell you to take them for a test drive. Mm-hmm. So they're going to put them in, they're going to screw them in. Again, because they can come in and out, they can unscrew them, you'll never do it. They will always do it. So don't think that you have to do it at home.
Go home and play a shade tree mechanic.
You got it. You got it. Or think that's how I'm going to have to clean my gums. Yeah. Right? You know, I'm going to have to. So you'll never have to do that. So when I went and I got my permanent ones, and we took them for a test drive. That's what they said. Take them for a test drive. See how it is. You will talk a little strange with your temporaries, because the root, remember, it extends back. Mm-hmm. So you'll have a little bit of a lisp that my grandkids would crack up at. So get ready for your kids.
I love it.
Yeah, you got a 7-year-old. You're getting it. Yeah. So you just want to make sure that you know that you're prepared for that part of it. But once you do get the permanent ones, and I'm glad, I kept looking, I kept smiling. I'm like, I love them. You know, these are great. But there was something. Well, when they had made them, the center was off.
Your midline.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is wrong? Like, nobody else could ever notice that, right? Sure. Nobody else. But now I knew, and I'm looking, and that's all. Every time I get in the car, I'm like, oh, you know, I love it, you know. And so I was looking for that. So you're in good hands with our dentist. You know, I went in there, I was like, do I just look weird? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, no, isn't it off? And they're like, it is. So, again, that's why I take them for a test drive. Yeah. So they put the temporaries. I go, do you have to make those temporaries again? They're like, no, we still have your temporaries. They put those back in, sent them off, and then I got them right back. So that's something else to think of.
You know, it'd be interesting. I've learned through this process. So we interviewed a gal who flew all the way from Luxembourg to have her teeth done here. So that's a journey, and. You know, there's a new set of questions that arises with that. Like, okay, what happens if something happens? I mean, you can't just, I mean, that's, right. And so the doctor actually sent her home with her temps and a backup set. She purchased basically a PMMA or a second temp set. For your traveling, You might want to, if you're out, ask our doctor if what he might charge to give you a spare tire, if you will, in case you ever blow it. Like, if anything ever happens while you're on the road or anything.
That I would have that.
You'd have that.
And I could go to another dummy, because that's all you do is just unscrew them and screw them back in.
Which I did talk to Nicholas, who is who helped build Zircon Dental Designers, and also now he's going out to Fresno to help another group. But smart guy, and he said you don't want to just go to any doctor. You want to make sure they know the All-On-4, that they're good at it. Don't just go to a GP, but you can look in it and pay a couple $100 and have that. But it's better
an option.
To have that. It's
Just in
weird
case.
to think that, but that's a lesson that I kind of thought about, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and ask, what would he charge for kind of an extra set of temps?
So even for your permanent ones?
If, God forbid, something happens, because I've been in there, the majority of them, and especially you went with zirconia, so there's probably a really low probability.
Right.
But it's not a zero.
Okay.
And because it's not a zero, and because of zirconia, if it breaks, it'll break. It won't.
It's not going to crack.
It ain't going to crack.
Right.
It's going to go into two pieces type deal. And
but that's a good option. You know what?
Really
I hadn't even thought about that.
I know, and this is
so just a temporary until I can get back home here.
That's it. Just your temps.
Just my temps.
And just be able to say, can you zip them in till I can get back to my clinician? Just because you travel so much, I don't think everybody needs to. If you live down the road, you don't need a spare set. They'll take care of that, but if you're traveling, I think
that's all I do. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Look, you came to me for answers, and look at this.
That's right. Well, hopefully we all get to share on
yes,
this.
and hopefully we don't have to get to that point.
Your sister, and that's, again, A, I know it upsets you because it's your sister-in-law, but B, it also upsets me just because of what we've had to go through on dentists, and how, if you were to weigh good versus ones that really need more training. Chairside manner, knee.
Right.
To think about not only the clinical side that she had to go through, but number one, not tell her, hey, look, by the way, FYI, when you get done with this, it's going to be a while. You got to heal. Here's the process. You don't think that's something somebody should know?
Absolutely. And they did not. And you don't know to ask those questions.
No. You're a patient. You have no clue.
This is your job. So you're basing it all on them. Right. And that they definitely didn't.
Yeah.
And what they did is they sold the job.
That's right. It. They wanted the money.
If she did it, that was one of the other reasons that she did it so quickly, because this deal's only good for today. You can pay cash. We can knock this off or whatever. This is the discount that you're getting. I know. I begged, and like I said, I would like to know if they can switch those for her.
Let me have her do some research. I'd love to, just because some of the relationships that we have, they can take a look, and I know that they could at least know, give her a diagnosis.
Right, and even if she has to continue going to that same dentist, at least know, and that's what I wanted her to do, to go look at ours, talk to ours, because I said, at least they can say, hey, listen, this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that way, when they're talking to them right now, they're giving no answers. No answers.
Yeah, we need to see if we can help out with her. And one of the other things I was thinking about, again, there's a good chance I might not get any work in the dental field again, and I would be okay with that if I can help patients out. I'm serious. But, one of the things that keeps coming to my mind is, well, what recourse does she have? What should she do? Right. What would you, if you're in that situation, what would you do? And so, I think I'm probably going to try to compile all the dental boards around the country for each state. I want to put all those phone numbers in a centralized area so people can kind of find it, and then also kind of know really what the rules are, because I've been around enough doctors to know where they get scared.
Yeah.
And I would recommend for your sister and anybody else out there that's gone through this, with the way they made phones now and the way they've made video, stop and take a really solid review video. Explain, let her invest in or have her husband or someone even hold the phone, but a tripod, and literally tell the story and submit that as a review for that place. Also go on Real Self and different review websites, Yelp, that kind of type of stuff. Upload that to YouTube and let others know. And I'm not trying to
bash anybody,
right? But
no.
my God, no one else
like
should go through that.
Well, she doesn't have a leg to stand on right now, and that's what she's saying. You know, when she goes and they're like, "Okay, so is that all right?" And she's like, "No, none of this is all right."
No.
So, you know, yeah, she's just stuck between a rock and a hard place.
You know what? I'm gonna do a whole episode on that. I'm glad we talked about this, Jen. On, let's say it goes south, what do you do?
Yep.
How can you get the attention of them to, God willing, forego any small claims or court? I mean, then now you're playing a bunch of attorneys,
right?
And
And
all
we're
that
not. Yeah,
crap.
that's not. We just want it right.
Done right. Do what you say you're gonna do.
Well, just like what you said with the scare of you getting it done next week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are your permanent teeth. This is everybody sees, right? As soon as they look at you. If you talk, if you sneeze, if you smile, if you cry, if you laugh, they're gonna see your teeth. So, you know, knowing that you have taken the time and did the research and you've got the right doctor that is gonna do it right the first time. Yeah. But the main thing is you can ask the questions, but if you don't know what questions to ask, you know, all she saw, and that's all she kept saying is, you ate brisket the next day. You know, I'm not suggesting everybody go run out and eat briskets on their
That's
temporary.
not prescriptive.
Dr. Scanner may say something different about that, but I was starving. But you know what I mean? You can eat soft foods. You know, you're not going to take a steak and, you know, bite it right off the bone right away. But you can definitely start eating. Where with your cracked bridge, you couldn't even eat that.
I can't. Yeah,
No.
I mean, you saw before we even had to do this, I had to put Fixodent in to even make it through an interview. And
Right.
you're kind of going, that's just talking.
Right.
That's
That is
not
just talking.
eating. That's not, you know.
You got it.
And I'm gonna. But you know what? What a gift. It really is. I mean, I really try to step back and get over myself for a minute and think, okay, I didn't know before this what a pain in the butt that paste and that glue is.
Oh, well, it tastes nasty.
It's so
and again,
messy.
Shame. Every time you're getting it out, right? It's just, and you got to take this out. And then you got to put that in. And you do. I hope to good, you know, if you're out at a restaurant, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go in the men's stall, right, to do it? Because I'm not going to stand here in front. So there's just so many different things that you're gonna be a lot better off. Your whole life would change. I thought I'm going to be bigger than a house, right? I'm going to be able to eat everything I want, everything I want, you know. But candy apples, just bite right into them, baby.
Really?
I swear to goodness.
Really?
I did it at the, well, as a matter of fact, Mike and I, we were at the rodeo here. And I said, you know what? I want to take a picture of me biting into a candy apple.
I think I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that. No way.
Yeah, and just bit right into it. I mean, I hadn't had that in, 30 years, you know?
Because you're always battling.
Yeah,
And then you're trying,
right. You can't bite into that.
It's like, you know, you try to fix one thing and then another thing pops up. And then you try to fix and it's just like, and that's one thing I'm so excited about this. I really am. That's the thing where I'm like, okay, God, please, can we be done with all this chasing the thing? Because it's like you're having to fix. I mean, literally, I'm probably 8 dentists down the road of trying to fix with that first and second and then other mistakes, and it compiles. And I've had some decent ones along the way. And again, I know I'm a little jaded and that type of stuff, but I mean, I think about how much money and how much pain my mom has gone through and all that kind of stuff to think, wait a second, I don't have to mess with that anymore.
Never again.
I mean, that to never have a cavity?
I know.
I mean, that's crazy.
Never have to. You know, you're going to go in and you're going to have your teeth cleaned like you normally do.
Right.
But that is something that's so great. Like, you're not waiting. The dentist comes in, you're like, oh, they got a cavity, and I'm sure I'm going to need a crown, and I'm sure, and the money, right? The money. So whenever they go in, they clean it, and he comes in, he's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. He's like, all right, well, I'm glad you came in. You know, there's no bad news anymore, and no pain. Right? Toothache and an earache are the two things. I told you I have a high tolerance. Toothache and earache will take you down.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be a lot better off. And that's why my sister-in-law had to do it too. She had, chasing from one dentist to the other and not having the money for implants, and then them just removing teeth. Well, now we've got missed spaces. So now what's going to happen with the missed space? And, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So all that. So whenever she was just done and she came across the other office, and they were able to make a deal and get her in by the end of the week, she was so excited about it. Because she saw everything I went through, and she's like, "Oh, this is great," but it's a completely different thing. So make sure you get what you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. And ask what kind of guarantee do they give.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do that.
No, you're spending a lot of money.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. Hey, are you backing this up?
Yeah.
How long have you been in business?
Yeah.
That's going to tell you how long they're going to stay in business. You know what I mean? You got somebody that's just been a few years out.
Fresh
they could
grad.
be. You got it. They could be dropping out of the scene.
And did you know you don't have to have any specialty to place implants? You got to have nothing. You're just a DDS. You can graduate, and there is no prerequisite that is required for implants. And not only that, there's no prerequisite for the All-On-4. For what we went through. Now, our dentist is an expert at this, and that is something I recommend everybody who's thinking about going this. There are a lot of general dentists that there are a few good general dentists that know what the heck they're doing on this. They've really focused, they've specialized, they've done it for a long time. So I'm not just trying to throw GPs under the bus and say you have to, but I am saying that as a patient, I want to know, and that's really what led me being a prosthodontist, having a surgical background. If you can find a surgical prosthodontist, that by far is the best because they know the entire case. But I was blown away to see some of these kids, literally kids, going, "Yeah, I can do the All-On-4." Well, how many have you done? 2. Where? Well, down in Mexico, because you can't actually, by the way, didn't know if you knew this, but there's no live. You can't do live placement in the U.S. If you're a dentist, and let's say I went to dental school and now I really want to learn implants or All-On-4, I've got to do it on mandibles or fake bone and that kind of stuff, or go to the Dominican Republic, Mexico, different areas like that. You can't do it in the U.S. And they might have 2-3 days of placing it on 2, 3, 4 patients, and then they go after it. That's it. Asking the question, please ask, how many have you done? Where did you get your training? Don't be afraid because you think they're smarter than you. Are you kidding me? Do not be afraid to ask those questions because God bless you, sister.
Yes, and exactly. I'm sure it was general dentistry that did this with her. I mean, it was horrible.
If she's up for it, I'd love to sit down with her. I know it's embarrassing, and I know it's, and we can do it off camera. I'd love to do it on camera to let others know, but I know it's embarrassing, so that's okay too.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy to walk her through. I'm
sure she would love it.
Yeah.
We need some guidance.
Yeah.
Again, where do we go? Is this it?
And you've even gone through it and still need it.
And I don't know where to go. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll make that happen.
So Jen, I guess again, we've talked about how positive this can be. We've also talked about how this can go south, and I think one of the things that we've kind of given each other some pointers on this. Hopefully, everybody out there kind of got something out of this. I really do hope so. But in kind of putting a bow on this, I think that, A, I'm excited about it, but B, again, we were talking about what you would ask a clinician before you go in. And I guess that's probably both of our passions, is to make sure nobody gets screwed over again, because we both have had our fair share and got our scars to prove that point. Anything else? Being able to come out. I mean, we were here 3 years ago, and you guys have now built a beautiful pool, and you guys are fun people, and so appreciate you showing us around and letting us come out even in a challenging time. We got COVID. I know you guys have some family things, dynamics going on, and Not an easy time to have us, but thank you for having us.
No problem at all. I want to see you after you get this done.
Okay.
I want you, I want your family.
Okay.
Come out, enjoy the new pool with us.
Okay.
We can play around in it. We can get Mike to make some brisket, and you can
All
you
right.
can experience some good cooking.
I will.
And maybe one of your first main meals after you get done, because it's a world of difference. It is a
Okay.
world of difference.
If you're serious about
I promise.
that offer,
No, I promise. I wouldn't invite you if I don't want you.
Okay. I'm going to do it then.
Okay.
I'm going to do it then. I love how this is, you know, people have asked about the dental side of things. I've made some friends with some clinicians. I have. There's a few. But for the most part, my favorite part of the job is this, of where I've gotten to make friends and really get into people's lives, and they've get into mine. And like, it's a weird way to form
Right.
a friendship, but God is good and let us do
Put
it.
us in,
so.
in our past.
That's right.
That's exactly
right.
right. Well, whenever you called to ask me to talk about it, I didn't know. I was like, this was easy for me until I start thinking about it's a long process.
It is.
It's a long healing. There's a lot of follow up. When something's gone 3 years, you forget about all of it until we start talking about it. Like the palate.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So
That's a good heads up. I'll
No,
get me
I'm
some
glad.
Listerine strips.
you got it, Listerine strips. Listerine strips. That's right.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I appreciate it.